A quiet night at the high school takes a dark turn. Crows circle like vultures above a luxury car parked right outside the main building. Inside, a student hangs suspended in midair, her hair trailing on the floor. She sobs, pleading to know what she did to deserve such a nightmare. Rookie assistant priest clutches his cross, his face pale as he watches the girl. Beside him, Father Kang Yohan coolly lights up a cigar, seemingly unfazed by the chaos. The classroom is a disaster zone, littered with religious artifacts and fallen crosses. Father Kang Yohan mocks the rookie for feeling pity, reminding him that the girl has already turned the school into a mess. The rookie assistant priest insists he's not afraid, just a little jittery since it's his very first mission. Father Kang Yohan doesn't bother with a pep talk. He admits he's absolutely terrified himself. He's sweating through his collar, convinced he might actually die tonight. The rookie stares in shock. If the legendary Father Kang is this scared, the situation is far worse than he imagined. The veteran priest grumbles about the danger but quickly snaps back into his professional mode. He tells the kid it's time to get to work. Eager to prove himself, the rookie assistant priest flips open his Bible, promising to support the veteran with everything he's got. Father Kang Yohan waves him off, saying he doesn't need support from a greenhorn. Instead, he tosses something over his shoulder for the rookie to catch. The rookie catches the object, only to find it's just a regular smartphone. He's dumbfounded as to why he's being told to protect a piece of tech over a holy book. High above them, the student looks down with a hollow gaze, tears still fresh on her face. Father Kang Yohan clasps his hands together, offering a quick apology in advance for the intensity of the upcoming ritual. A massive shockwave of spiritual energy erupts from the old priest, nearly blowing the rookie off his feet. It's a raw display of power that doesn't even require a formal ritual. The girl screams in pain as the energy washes over her, her body glowing with a harsh red light. The rookie is stunned by the sheer scale of the veteran's strength. Father Kang Yohan maintains the pressure, his eyes glowing behind his tinted shades. The rookie realizes the rumors about the demon of demons weren't an exaggeration. The old priest roars a prayer, demanding the spirit depart in the name of the Holy Spirit. His voice booms through the classroom. The rookie assistant priest joins in, holding his cross high and chanting the prayers along with the veteran. The student's voice twists into a demonic snarl, cursing them and threatening to kill every person in the room. She fights back against the holy light. Father Kang Yohan doesn't flinch, commanding the evil spirit to return to the land of the lost once and for all. The girl's face contorts as she struggles against the blinding energy, her eyes burning with an unnatural red fire. A massive explosion of white light fills the entire room, drowning out the screams. As the light begins to fade, the girl's eyes slowly drift shut, her resistance seemingly broken. She hangs limp in the air, looking confused as the demonic influence recedes. Father Kang Yohan slumps forward, steam rising from his hands as his spiritual energy dissipates. He looks completely drained. The rookie watches with wide eyes, hoping the nightmare is finally over. The old man huffs, admitting he's officially too old for this. He pushed himself a little too hard, and his body is starting to pay for it. Suddenly, Father Kang Yohan shouted, "Kid!" with an expression that turned urgent. Rookie assistant priest panics, desperately opening his book to start a formal exorcism ritual. He thinks the demon is making a move. Instead, Father Kang Yohan tells the kid not to tell anyone he failed. He's more worried about his reputation than the spirit. He continues to ramble about prestige and dropping performance results while wiping blood from his chin. It's a bizarrely casual conversation for a life-or-death moment. A massive impact hits Father Kang Yohan square in the face, cutting him off mid-sentence. The possessed student has lunged across the room, sending the veteran priest crashing into the lockers. She isn't done yet. She stands tall, mocking the great Exorcist for being all talk and no bite. Her face is twisted with a cruel, demonic grin. Father Kang Yohan groans on the floor, realizing he's just too slow to keep up with a spirit this fast. He mutters about how things would be different if he were just 5 years younger. The girl grabs the old man by the jaw, hoisting him up and calling him a pathetic old geezer. She has him completely at her mercy. Rookie assistant priest trembles as he reads from his book, trying to command the departed soul to leave the girl's body. A small burst of blue light hits the girl, but she doesn't even flinch. The rookie's power is clearly not enough. She turns her head toward the rookie, her face cracking like porcelain to reveal a terrifying, multi-eyed entity beneath. Father Kang Yohan tells the kid to run while he still can. The spirit lets out a psychic shriek that blasts the air with purple energy, hitting the rookie full force. The rookie assistant priest is sent crashing into the lockers, and the smartphone Father Kang gave him skids across the floor. The possessed student looms over them, promising the rookie he's next. But first, she's going to devour the old man's spiritual power. Father Kang Yohan is pinned down, sweat and blood dripping from his face as the girl's hand tightens around his throat. He mutters a curse, adding that he's actually being forced to use his last resort method. He looks up through his cracked sunglasses, his expression hardening. He knows there's no other choice left if they want to survive this. The spirit inside the girl cackles, mocking him as nothing more than a dying old man with one foot in the grave. Father Kang just grinds his teeth, promising that they're about to find out exactly how much use he still has. Over by the lockers, the rookie assistant priest watches in sheer terror. He sees a strange energy building up and wonders if the veteran is actually planning to blow himself up to end the fight. The possessed student leans in, her red eyes glowing with predatory hunger as she prepares to finish him off. Instead of a holy prayer, Father Kang Yohan lets out a deafening roar that echoes through the entire school building. At the top of his lungs, the legendary priest screams for help. It's a desperate, guttural cry that catches the spirit completely off guard. The classroom falls silent for a split second, the wreckage of desks and chairs providing a grim backdrop to the bizarre scene. Father Kang doesn't stop, continuing to yell for someone to save him. The spirit stares at him in utter confusion, wondering if the old man has finally lost his mind from the pressure. The rookie assistant priest is just as horrified, convinced that the veteran's mental state has completely collapsed under the strain. His eyes drift down to the smartphone Father Kang gave him, which is now vibrating and glowing on the floor. An icon on the screen shows a successful connection, with a stylized character winking back at them. A voice crackles through the speaker, checking to see if Father Kang can hear him. The help me call has been answered. The rookie priest is baffled, staring at the device and wondering who could possibly be on the other end of a phone call during an exorcism. On the other side of the line, Sa Hyeon-woo smirks into his wired earphones. He notes that the priest certainly took his sweet time making the call. Sa Hyeon-woo stands coolly in the schoolyard, his hands in his pockets. Crouched beside him is his partner, Han Gi-ram, who's occupied with a piece of gum. Looking up at the illuminated classroom window, Sa Hyeon-woo mentions that he's been waiting nearby specifically because he knew the old man would eventually give in. He reminds Father Kang that by calling, he's officially agreed to the steep price that was proposed earlier. Back in the room, the spirit's eye twitches with irritation. She's starting to realize that the old man wasn't just losing his mind. She slams Father Kang against the floor, mocking him for trying to call in backup. She's confident that no other priest can change the outcome of this fight. The girl's face contorts with rage as she screams that nothing will change, no matter who shows up. The rookie assistant priest watches helplessly as the veteran is brutalized, screaming out his name in despair. Father Kang Yohan is barely hanging on, but he tells the kid to get out of the way. He knows exactly what's coming next. Suddenly, the massive glass window behind the girl begins to spiderweb and crack under an immense external force. Sa Hyeon-woo crashes through the glass in a spectacular shower of shards, descending like a hawk on its prey. He flashes a confident, almost bored grin at the bleeding priest, casually greeting him as he falls. Before the spirit can even react, Sa Hyeon-woo's hand reaches out and grips her head with a firm, inescapable hold. Father Kang yells at the newcomer to just finish the job quickly, clearly annoyed that he had to call for help at all. He grumbles about Sa Hyeon-woo's lack of conscience for taking so much money while pretending to be considerate. The rookie assistant priest is frozen in shock, his mind racing to figure out where this mysterious teenager came from. The spirit-possessed student is absolutely livid, her features shifting into something even more monstrous and demonic. She lunges at the intruder with claws outstretched, determined to tear him apart for interfering. Sa Hyeon-woo doesn't even flinch, his eyes shadowed as he prepares to meet the attack head-on. A massive punch connects right with the girl's jaw, the force of it sending a shockwave through the air. Sa Hyeon-woo casually remarks that even evil spirits feel pain. The rookie priest is horrified by the sight of a high schooler punching a possessed girl with such lethal force. Sa Hyeon-woo smiles brightly, officially introducing his signature move, the Holy Punch. The impact is so powerful that the girl is sent skidding across the room, crashing through desks and chairs. Sa Hyeon-woo stands over the fallen student, cracking his knuckles. He tells the spirit that if she doesn't want another round, she'd better vacate the premises immediately. The rookie is in a total panic, convinced that Sa Hyeon-woo is going to end up killing the host along with the demon. A blood-stained hand reaches out and grabs the rookie's shoulder, stopping him from interfering. Father Kang Yo-han stands up, using his arm to block the younger priest. He tells him to stay back and just watch how this plays out. The veteran priest admits that everyone has the same terrified reaction the first time they see the boy in action. The possessed student suddenly begins to gag and convulse, a sickening purple residue bubbling up from her throat. A massive torrent of viscous purple fluid erupts from her mouth, splashing onto the floor as the spirit is forcibly ejected. The rookie assistant priest can only watch in speechless horror, his face pale as he witnesses the violent, unorthodox expulsion of the entity. On the floor, a small, round spirit with red eyes and short horns sits in a puddle of the purple slime, coughing and sputtering. It grumbles about being dragged out of its host without any of the proper ritual procedures. Sa Hyeon-woo reaches down and snatches the entity by its tail, dangling it in front of him like a caught fish. The tiny spirit shrieks in pain, calling him a monster as it tries to squirm out of his grip. Sa Hyeon-woo smirks at the pathetic creature, giving it a simple choice: go peacefully to the afterlife or face more of his holy punches. The spirit immediately changes its tune, frantically promising to pass on if he'll just stop hurting it. Sa Hyeon-woo lets the creature go, satisfied with its surrender, while a mischievous grin spreads across its small, round face. The spirit suddenly bolts toward the open window, laughing as it declares that it lied and intends to find a new human host to devour. Sa Hyeon-woo yells out for a catch as the spirit dives out of the classroom, escaping into the night air. Standing outside in the schoolyard, Han Gi-ram is already prepared, her hands held together as she focuses her spiritual energy. A brilliant swirl of blue energy ribbons erupts around her, spiraling into the air like a localized storm. She catches a glimpse of the fleeing spirit and pulls back a glowing blue strand of energy, her expression one of cool confidence. A concentrated beam of blue light shoots straight up from her position, piercing the darkness of the night. The energy beam strikes the tiny spirit dead center just as it thought it was home free, stopping its escape instantly. The creature is caught in the glowing blue vortex, its body stretching and distorting as it realizes it fell right into a trap. The blue energy ribbons coil tightly around the spirit, pulling it back down toward the ground with incredible speed. A massive shockwave of blue light and festive confetti explodes in the air, signifying the final purification of the entity. Looking out the window, Sa Hyeon-woo flashes a grin and gives Han Gi-ram an approving shout for her perfect timing. Han Gi-ram stands in her school uniform, the blue energy dissipating from her hands as she scolds Sa Hyeon-woo for being so reckless and making her job harder. Inside the room, the rookie assistant priest is still reeling from the chaos, staring at the debris while Father Kang Yo-han casually lights up a cigar nearby. As the blue and red lights of a police car flicker in the distance, Father Kang tells the rookie to get used to this kind of unconventional work. The sunrise dyes the school's sky red as emergency workers tend to the students, while a narration explains how evil spirits thrive on the cracks in human hearts. Father Kang Yo-han takes a sip of his drink, explaining that most exorcists stay away from minors because their pure but fragile emotions make them easy targets for possession. The formerly possessed student lies unconscious but peaceful, her visible injuries already beginning to vanish thanks to the healing properties of Sa Hyeon-woo's strikes. The rookie assistant priest sits on a bench with Father Kang, his head bowed as he tries to reconcile his training with what he just saw. Father Kang lets out a hearty laugh, marveling at how Sa Hyeon-woo managed to exorcise a demon and heal the host using nothing but his bare fists. The rookie isn't laughing, sweat dripping down his face as he questions the wisdom of hearing such dangerous contractors to handle the exorcism of a child. He clutches his head in a panic, imagining the Vatican's wrath if they ever discovered the church was working with unauthorized, violent exorcists. In the distance, the two teenagers walk away together, leaving the priests to wonder who they really are and where they came from. Father Kang rubs his chin, trying to recall the specific name of the group Sa Hyeon-woo and Han Gi-ram belonged to. He remembers they called it something strange, something like the Killing Agency, though that doesn't sound quite right. The scene transitions to a massive, traditional wooden gate adorned with protective paper talismans. The demonic-faced door knockers rattle as the heavy gates begin to creak open, revealing a glimpse of an ancient power. A scene of absolute destruction follows, where pillars of rock and wood are blasted apart by a titanic force. A female shaman with long, flowing hair and a headband gasps for breath, her white robes stained with blood as her companions rush to her aid. Towering over the carnage is a massive, muscular figure with glowing red eyes, radiating a terrifying red aura that makes everyone nearby tremble. The shaman stares up at the figure in disbelief, blood trickling from the corner of her mouth, as she realizes the overwhelming strength of the man before her. A voice booms through the area, offering a single, cold chance at survival for those still standing. The memory fades as the pink tire of a motorcycle screeches against the pavement in a sharp turn. Sa Hyeon-woo stands by the curb, adjusting his earphones and waiting for his ride as he gets ready for the next job. Han Gi-ram pulls up on a sleek pink motorcycle, gesturing for Sa Hyeon-woo to hop on because another exorcism request has just come in. Han Gi-ram checks her phone with a sigh, nodding that the location is quite a distance away, and they're definitely going to be late for school. Sa Hyeon-woo pulls a blue helmet over his head, his sharp purple eyes glinting behind the goggles as he looks toward Han Gi-ram. He adjusts the straps with a confident smirk, cutting straight to the point by asking about the payout for their next mission. Scene transition. A massive tree towers over a small mountain shrine, its branches thick with dark energy and talismans. A voice from inside is already talking business, claiming the target is way too dangerous for any kind of discount. Yang Yane, a shaman in a white headband and pink robes, is absolutely fuming. She shouts at the newcomer, calling him a thug for hiking up his prices in the middle of a crisis. Sa Hyeon-woo just sits there casually on an offering table, munching away while everyone else is panicking. He tells them to keep it cool, even as he's literally lounging on top of a giant pig's head. Yane isn't having any of it, screaming about how he's the last person who should be talking about money. She looks exhausted, with sweat and dust covering her face from the struggle. Hyeon-woo just gives a smug grin, holding up half an apple like he's got all the time in the world. As an employee of the healing office, he's clearly used to being the most annoying person in the room. A man in a suit, the client's son, steps forward and begs Hyeon-woo to just do it. He's willing to pay whatever it takes as long as his father is saved safely, though his sister looks way more skeptical. The son is desperate, clutching his fist and pleading because he can't lose his dad to an evil spirit. Even a pro like Yane said there was nothing more she could do, so he's putting all his chips on this high schooler. Hyeon-woo stands up and claps a hand on the man's shoulder, telling him to leave the rest to him. He's dropped the apple and the jokes, shifting into a more professional, if still cocky, persona. He points a finger forward, flashing a confident smile that's meant to be reassuring. Keeping promises to clients is the iron rule of the healing office, and he's about to show them why. Outside the shrine, Han Gi-ram leans against a sleek pink motorcycle, checking her phone. She's the part-timer for the office and looks way more interested in the time than the exorcism happening inside. Gi-ram shouts for Hyeon-woo to wrap it up because they're actually going to be late for school. Hyeon-woo just waves her off as he heads toward the dark entrance of the shrine. Inside the shadows, a grotesque, muscular spirit hunches over its host, its red eyes glowing with hunger. It looks like it's mid-feast, completely unaware that its workday is about to get a lot worse. Hyeon-woo stands before the beast, casually adjusting a talisman on his forehead while whistling. He doesn't look even slightly intimidated by the massive demon snarling in front of him. The spirit lunges with a roar, its long claws reaching out to tear the young man apart. It demands that he hand over the body, thinking it has the upper hand in its own domain. Hyeon-woo doesn't even flinch. He just winds up and delivers a massive, holy punch right to the demon's face. The impact is so heavy it practically shatters the spirit's jaw, sending shockwaves through the entire room. The family watches from the entrance, their faces pale with shock at the sheer violence of the exorcism. Yane is just as stunned, her mouth hanging open as she witnesses the unconventional method. Hyeon-woo scratches the back of his head, looking totally unfazed by the carnage he just caused. He mentions that everyone is probably misunderstanding, but this is just his way of doing things. To prove his point, he holds the possessed man up as a massive stream of glitchy, rainbow-colored light pours out of the guy's mouth. It's gross, but Hyeon-woo cheerily points out that the evil spirit is officially gone. The son rushes forward, reaching out for his father, who's still reeling from the sudden expulsion. He's terrified that the cure might have been worse than the disease. On the ground, the once fearsome demon has been reduced to a pathetic, tiny pink creature with swirly eyes. It looks like a dazed cartoon character, completely neutralized by that single punch. The client's daughter, a woman in a purple blazer and gray hair, is livid, screaming about how they could trust people like this. She seems way more upset about the mess than the fact that her father is actually alive. Gi-ram revs her bike, shouting that they're really out of time and she's leaving with or without him. Ha Hyun-woo panics and starts sprinting toward her, leaving the chaos behind. Yane is left standing there, absolutely bewildered that they're just ditching the scene while things are still half finished. She screams at them, wondering what the hell she's supposed to do with all this. As he runs, Ha Hyun-woo just looks back with a big, goofy grin and shouts some encouragement. He tells her she can handle the rest because she's special. The most beautiful shaman he's ever seen. Yane freezes, her face turning bright red as she processes the sudden, shameless flattery while the kids speed away. The family isn't nearly as charmed, screaming at their backs to get back there and fix the mess they made. They're absolutely losing it, but the bike is already a blur in the distance. Yane snaps out of it and draws her twin swords, crossing them with a determined look. She tells the family to have some faith. She's still a pro, after all. The son looks on in confusion, unsure of what's happening as the shaman gets back to work. He's still shell-shocked by the whole punch the demon thing. Meanwhile, the father is actually starting to look better. His skin is glowing with a healthy light, and he's even got a goofy smile on his face. It turns out the punch really did heal him along with the exorcism. Yane shouts back at the family, telling them they're shameless brats for worrying. She's clearly annoyed, but she's got a ritual to finish. Yane brings her massive blade down on the tiny pink spirit, calling out her great bewitchment spell. She's clearly feeling herself now, her confidence fully restored by Ha Hyun-woo's earlier comment. A blinding flash of light erupts, forcing the family to shield their eyes from the purification spell. It's a classic high-drama shaman finish that looks way more professional than a punch to the face. Far from the shrine, Ha Hyun-woo and Gi-ram are cruising down the road on the motorcycle. They're casually putting on their helmets, finally making their escape from the dramatic aftermath. The bike speeds away into the distance, leaving a trail of dust and talismans behind. Ha Hyun-woo's only concern now is making sure they actually get paid for the job. Back at the shrine, something isn't right. A small, goat-headed spirit core sits among the wreckage. It looks different from the usual residual energy, almost like it was left there on purpose. Yane looks down at the core with a grim expression, her earlier triumph quickly fading. She can tell this wasn't a normal possession. She picks up the core, which is covered in dark markings and seems to pulse with a sinister energy. It's a planted spirit, the kind used for targeted attacks. Realization hits her hard as she stares at the object in her hand. This wasn't just a random haunting. Someone went out of their way to set this whole thing up. Cut to the school parking lot, where the pink motorcycle is now parked among the students' bicycles. The high-stakes exorcism of the morning is already being replaced by the mundane reality of high school. The school building stands tall under a clear sky, looking like any other ordinary day. But the healing office duo is already moving on to their next lead. Inside the library, Gi-ram is perched on a ladder, reaching for books on the top shelf. She's looking for something specific, a forbidden book that might hold clues about these new threats. While she's researching, other students are gathered nearby, holding stickers of spirits Ha Hyun-woo has been selling. Gi-ram explains that she's looking for the mysteries and truths of evil spirits, leaving her classmates totally creeped out. Back at the school library, Gi-ram is still trying to get some research done while her classmates hover around. One of them casually asks if she's actually dating Sa Hyeon-woo, catching her completely off guard. Gi-ram freezes, her face flushing bright red at the sudden question. She looks up from her books with wide eyes, stumbling over her words as she tries to process what they just asked. Outside, a black cat startled by a sudden shout leaps from a tree near the school building. Someone is yelling at the top of their lungs, and it's coming straight from one of the classrooms. Turns out, it's Ha Hyun-woo losing his mind over the same rumor. He slams his fists on the desk, face red and veins bulging as he screams about how ridiculous the idea of him dating Gi-ram is. The guy is sweating bullets and scratching his head while his classmates just smirk at him. They point out that he and Gi-ram are basically attached at the hip on that motorcycle every single day, so sparks were bound to fly eventually. Ha Hyun-woo gets swarmed by the rest of the class, who aren't even listening to his denials. He tries to regain control by threatening to hike up the subscription fee for his ghost photos, but the mob just keeps laughing and teasing him. In the quiet of the library, Gi-ram finally catches her breath and insists they aren't dating. She wonders why her friend is even bringing it up in the first place. The blonde girl leans in close, whispering with a sly grin that she's actually got a bit of a crush on Ha Hyun-woo herself. She seems pretty relieved to hear he's still on the market. The news hits Gi-ram like a physical weight, and she ends up dropping a stack of books right on the floor. Her friends just watch as the papers scatter, clearly picking up on the sudden shift in her mood. The sky is starting to turn a deep orange as the school day winds down. Most students are starting to head home, but things are just getting started for the healing office crew. A hand slides a classroom door open with a loud thud. Someone is looking for Sa Hyeon-woo, but they've arrived a little too late. A student leaning on his broom tells the visitor that Sa Hyeon-woo already bolted because of some urgent business. Giram and her friends watch from the hallway as the messenger gets the news. The orange-haired girl from earlier jokes that he was probably running off to meet a secret girlfriend. She seems to be enjoying how much the idea is rattling everyone else. Giram and the blonde girl exchange a look, both looking equally stunned by the suggestion. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to a hospital building standing tall against the setting sun. Inside, Sa Hyeon-woo is on a call, looking more stressed than he ever does during an exorcism. He's talking about medical updates and seizures, his voice dropping as he listens to the news from the other side. He's standing in a hospital room, hunched over his phone while talking to someone he calls boss. He looks like he's trying to swallow his pride while admitting he hasn't been able to pay the bills yet. In the bed next to him, his younger sister Sa Hyeon is sound asleep, clutching a stuffed animal. She looks peaceful despite the messy hospital gown and the uncertainty of her illness. The boss on the other end is clearly giving him a hard time, but mentions he's covered the costs for this month already. Sa Hyeon-woo just hangs his head, thanking him for the help even if it comes with a lecture. Sa Hyeon-woo looks at the phone screen as the boss tells him to stop being an idiot and just work hard to pay it back. He lets out a dry laugh, commenting on how the guy is getting all shy and helpful in his own way. The sound of the call waking her up, Sa Hyeon rubs her eyes and spots her brother standing there. She's still groggy, but her face lights up the moment she realizes he's come to visit. She smiles up at him, saying she feels much better after the medicine and a long nap. She even apologizes for making him worry, which clearly tugs at Sa Hyeon-woo's heartstrings. Sa Hyeon-woo is just relieved she's okay and immediately shifts into best brother mode. He tells her she can order whatever she wants to eat, and he'll buy the whole menu if it makes her happy. Sa Hyeon is ecstatic, pumping her fist in the air as she cheers about how great her brother is. For a moment, it looks like a normal family dinner is actually going to happen. The sunset sky is vibrant, echoing the rare moment of joy in the hospital room. But the peaceful atmosphere isn't going to last much longer. Back at the school gates, Giram is just about to head out on her bike when she hears someone calling Sa Hyeon-woo's name. She looks back, curious about who's showing up this late. Yang Yain pulls up on her green scooter, looking completely frazzled and shouting for Sa Hyeon-woo. She's still in her shaman outfit and looks like she's just seen something that's chilled her to the bone. Giram tells her he already left for the hospital, but Yain isn't interested in small talk. She explains that the evil spirit from that morning wasn't just a random occurrence. There's more to it. Yain holds out a hand, showing the remains of the spirit they fought earlier. It's a grotesque goat-headed core covered in talismans, and it's still pulsing with a faint, dark light. Giram looks at the thing and nearly jumps out of her skin, letting out a terrified scream. She's never seen anything like this before, and it's clearly way above her pay grade. Yain explains that this is a planted spirit, something that was put there on purpose by someone who knows what they're doing. She's absolutely certain that those guys are behind this targeted attack. She says they have to find Sa Hyeon-woo immediately because those lunatics might be coming after him next for interfering with their plan. The situation just went from a standard job to a high-stakes target on his back. Back at the hospital, Sa Hyeon-woo is watching Sa Hyeon dig into her pizza when a sudden wave of screams erupts from the hallway. He looks toward the door, his instincts immediately going on high alert. In the hallway, people are running for their lives as papers fly everywhere in the chaos. Someone is shouting about a guy with a knife and how he's clearly possessed by something wicked. A pair of black high heels clicks slowly and deliberately against the hospital floor, moving against the flow of the panicked crowd. The person wearing them doesn't seem bothered by the screaming at all. The unnamed daughter stands in the doorway of Sa Hyeon's room, leaning against the frame with a bloody knife in one hand and a cigarette in the other. She looks completely different from the grieving daughter Sa Hyeon-woo saw this morning. She blows out a cloud of smoke, her eyes glowing with a sinister red light as she greets Sa Hyeon-woo. She mocks him, saying she's here to pay him back for saving her father earlier that day. Sa Hyeon-woo recognizes her instantly, shocked to see the client's daughter looking like a cold-blooded killer. He tries to understand why she'd be coming after him instead of just taking the money and leaving. She spits on the floor, complaining about how everyone, kid or adult, only ever talks about money. She doesn't seem to have a single cent left to her name, and she's clearly bitter about it. With a slow, deliberate movement, she pulls back her blazer to reveal her stomach, which is covered in ink and talismans. She explains that she spent every cent she had buying that evil spirit, and when that wasn't enough, she used her own body as collateral. Sa Hyeon-woo stares at her, horrified by the realization that she's the one who hired the spirit in the first place. He's starting to see the true depth of the betrayal that led to this morning's haunting. The daughter explains that her plan was to kill her father and then her idiot brother to secure the entire inheritance for herself. With that money, she could have finally paid off her debts and lived a life of luxury. She screams at him for getting in her way, fully blaming him for ruining her chance at a new life. Then, she raises the knife and stabs it straight into her own stomach. In the middle of the hospital room, she collapses, her hair casting long shadows as blood splatters across the floor. Sa Hyeon-woo stands by the door, frozen in shock at this sudden turn of events. Hyeon-woo holds his breath as he stares at her, sweat dripping down his face. Meanwhile, the woman continues to reproach him, claiming that by interfering in these supernatural affairs, he will have to face unimaginable consequences. The daughter looks up with a twisted, bloodied smile, a cigarette still hanging from her lips. From the gash in her stomach, a mass of dark, swirling spirits with glowing red eyes begins to manifest, ready to tear everything apart. She mocks him through the veil of dark energy, her voice dripping with resentment. She claims that if he and Yane hadn't saved her father, she would be living a much happier life right now. A massive roar of dark energy erupts from her as she screams Hyeon-woo's name. The spirits lunge forward like giant serpents, their jaws open and ready to strike. Hyeon-woo barely manages to duck as a massive dark tentacle whips through the air right above him. The force of the attack is so strong it practically shakes the entire room. Disaster strikes when one of the spirits snatches Sa Hyeon right out of her hospital bed. Hyeon-woo reaches out in a blind panic, his eyes wide as he sees his sister being hauled away. The spirit smashes Jae-hyun through the large glass window, pulling her out into the open air. Glass shards rain down like confetti as Hyeon-woo lunges toward the ledge, desperate to reach her. The daughter watches with a satisfied, jagged grin, her face partially obscured by the shadows. She relishes the moment, telling Hyeon-woo that his ruined life starts right now. Jae-hyun is dangling high above the ground, held only by the dark spirit as she's pulled further into the night. Hyeon-woo's hand is the only thing between her and a terminal fall. Tears stream down Jae-hyun's face as she reaches back toward the window, crying out for her brother. Her voice is almost lost in the rush of the wind and the crashing glass. A close-up of Hyeon-woo's eye shows the pure desperation driving him. He isn't thinking about the danger or the height, only about getting his sister back. Just like that, after throwing the girl out of the window, the tentacles dissipated, leaving her in a free fall from the high floor of the hospital. Hyeon-woo kicks off the window frame, launching himself out into the void. He's putting everything on the line with this one desperate jump. He manages to catch Jae-hyun in midair, wrapping his arms around her as they both plummet toward the ground. He tucks his head in, trying to shield her with his own body before the impact. The unnamed daughter leans over the broken window sill, looking down with a dark, satisfied expression. Her eyes have turned completely black with a single, pinprick red pupil. Hyeon-woo and Jae-hyun are falling fast, the ground rushing up to meet them. He holds her tighter, his face set in a grim mask of determination to take the brunt of the fall. They crash onto the roof of a white car parked in the lot, the metal buckling and glass shattering under their weight. It's a violent, bone-jarring impact that sends debris flying in every direction. The car alarms start blaring across the quiet hospital parking lot, a piercing sound that cuts through the night air. The white sedan is totaled, its roof crushed nearly to the seats. Hyeon-woo lies on the crumpled roof, coughing and struggling to catch his breath. He's battered and bruised, but his arms are still locked around Jae-hyun, who seems to be unconscious but safe. The daughter looks down from the building above, calling him a hypocrite. She mocks him for caring so much about his own family while he ruins the lives of others with his exorcisms. She jumps down or hovers midair, surrounded by even more dark, snake-like spirits. She tells him it doesn't matter how hard he tries because they're both going to die tonight anyway. Close-up of her face as her eyes glow with a menacing red light. She's completely lost to the darkness now, driven only by a desire to see Sa Hyeon-woo suffer. Sa Hyeon-woo's face is smeared with blood and dirt, his eyes half closed as he lies on the car. It looks like he might be at his breaking point after the fall and the constant attacks. But then he starts to push himself up, still shielding the sleeping Jae-hyun with one arm. He tells the daughter to stop talking nonsense and stop blaming everyone else for her own choices. He stands up fully, his silhouette dark against the hospital lights as he stares her down. He points out that she's the one who wrecked her own life by selling her soul to a spirit just for some cash. The daughter looks absolutely furious, her face contorting as she screams at him to stop acting like he knows everything. The dark energy around her pulses with renewed intensity. A vision of her past shows her family laughing together while she was left out in the cold. She screams that they were nothing but trash who deserved to die for pushing her aside. More dark tentacles erupt from the center of her body, lashing out in a frenzy of rage. She's completely unhinged now, fueled by years of bitterness and the spirit's influence. Sa Hyeon-woo doesn't hesitate, charging forward with a determined look in his eyes. He's done talking and is ready to end this fight once and for all. He grabs one of her black tentacles. The air around him seems to warp as he strikes directly at the source of the dark energy. Just like that, using his right hand then his left, he grabs and tears them apart with his bare hands. He shouts at her, asking if being pushed aside is truly a sufficient reason for her to murder her own family. The daughter's head snaps back as the force of the attack reaches her. She looks stunned, as if she didn't expect him to be able to physically handle her spirit powers like this. Sa Hyeon-woo doesn't stop, tearing the tentacles apart and nearly severing her connection. He tells her that for everything she's done, he's going to make her pay an extremely high exorcism fee. Close-up of Sa Hyeon-woo's face, spattered with blood but showing no signs of backing down. He's fully focused on the task at hand, his expression cold and professional. The impact of his final attack creates a massive shockwave that cracks the pavement and sends a plume of dust into the air. The power behind the strike is unlike anything seen before. Far away from the hospital, a motorcycle speeds through the dark city streets, its engine roaring. The lights of the city blur past as it heads toward the scene of the chaos. Han Giram is at the handles, with Yang Yane 002 clinging to the back. Giram tells her not to worry too much because Sa Hyeon-woo always handles spirits with just one punch anyway. Yane looks serious, explaining that this isn't just a normal evil spirit they're dealing with. She reveals that it's directly connected to them, a group that can endlessly summon more spirits. Giram is confused and asks who exactly they are. Yane explains that they are humans who act like demons, tricking people and selling them evil spirits for their own gain. A vision of a monstrous, muscular blue spirit erupting from a person's back illustrates the horror Yane is describing. She says that anyone under their control can call out spirits without end. Close-up of her stomach, where two ghastly spirits have completely crawled out. The unnamed daughter levitates off the ground, her upper body splitting open as monstrous spirits with glowing red eyes surge from within. Below her, the two entities that just crawled out are none other than two demons wearing the forms of her father and brother, crawling grotesquely on the floor. Her transformation into something demonic is complete, her skin turning a sickly pale blue as a jagged seal manifests on her forehead. She grins wide, revealing sharp fangs, and mockingly declares that this place has already become hell for them. Sa Hyeon-woo stares up at the horror, his face heavily bruised and smeared with dried blood from the previous clash. He's breathing heavily, the weight of the battle finally catching up to his physical body. He watches as the daughter is slowly consumed by the very spirits she summoned, her humanity slipping away entirely. He wonders how they are able to force so many evil spirits to manifest at once, but his focus remains on the threat right in front of him. Despite his injuries, Sa Hyeon-woo still stands his ground. He raises a hand to cover his face, his posture shifting from exhaustion to a lethal readiness. He pulls his hand away to reveal a single eye glowing with an intense, supernatural purple light. Gritting his teeth, he issues a final warning. The healing office's exorcism fee is high, and she's about to pay every cent. Father Kang Yohan is casually filling out his report. Based on the spiritual pressure, he's convinced they're just dealing with a standard D-class threat. Behind him, a massive spirit with a gaping maw looms over the cordoned-off scene. Even for a seasoned priest, these D-class situations are never as simple as they look. Kang leans back and lights a cigarette, looking completely unbothered by the chaos. When someone asks if he can just chuck some salt at it, He practically rolls his eyes at the suggestion. The rookie assistant priest comes sprinting in, looking like he's seen a ghost. He shouts that they have an emergency on their hands and Father Kang needs to move immediately. The kid is freaking out, sweating through his collar. He just got word of an Abraxas-class spirit showing up over at the university hospital. Father Kang's cigarette nearly drops out of his mouth in shock. An A-class spirit appearing out of nowhere is the last thing he expected tonight. Meanwhile, Sa Hyeon-woo is already at the hospital, facing down a nightmare. A possessed host stands before him, multiple shadow spirits erupting from her back like dark wings. Behind him, Sa Jae-hyun is out cold on the pavement. She's completely defenseless while the fight breaks out around her. The host just laughs at him, flanked by two hulking, void-eyed spirits. She's clearly enjoying the lopsided battle. Hyeon-woo doesn't look intimidated, though. He's gritting his teeth, his purple eyes glowing with a cold, focused rage. He reminds her that the healing agency's fees aren't cheap. He's planning to collect every cent for the trouble they're causing him and for daring to touch his sister. He lunges forward, delivering a brutal kick that sends one of the spirits flying. He's not holding back a single ounce of strength. Another spirit with glowing red eyes lunges at him, baring its fangs. It's significantly faster than the low-level grunts he usually handles. Unable to dodge in time, its claws tore through his shoulder, sending blood spraying everywhere. Hyeon-woo let out a gut-wrenching scream of agony. He manages to push through the agony, though his face is now covered in dirt and blood. He can't afford to slow down for even a second. He grabs its collar and uses the momentum to throw the monster off balance. He is fighting like a man with nothing left to lose. He was just about to land a heavy punch straight to its face, when the tentacles from that woman suddenly coiled around his arm. Not only that, she released dozens of shadow snakes from the darkness, all aiming straight for the sleeping Jae-hyun. The host is targeting his weak spot to end this once and for all. Hyeon-woo's eyes go wide as he realizes the danger. He screams out his sister's name, the panic finally breaking through his stoic mask. Before he could rush back to protect the girl, he took a direct, lethal slash. The force of the blow was so powerful that it sent a spray of blood into the air. He's barely holding on, teeth clenched as he tries to stay between his sister and the monsters. He's taking hit after hit, but he won't budge. With a desperate roar, he punches the brother's spirit with all his might, trying to find a way out. The shockwave forces the shadows to retreat for a brief moment. Jae-hyun remains blissfully unaware, curled up in her hospital gown while the world ends around her. The tentacles lunging toward his younger sister suddenly froze, as if something had stopped them in their tracks. It turns out Hyeon-woo managed to catch them just in time. He grabbed the shadowy tentacles with his bare hands, trying to rip them away from his sister. He's using every bit of his remaining strength. He's shouting at them to get away, his face contorted in a mix of pure rage and desperation. With a scream commanding them to stay away from his sister, he tears all of those demonic tentacles to shreds. Even though he just saved the girl from danger, his body is battered and broken. The host stands tall amidst the wreckage, completely unscathed. Hyeon-woo coughs up blood, struggling to even lift his head from the ground. He's reached his absolute limit. The host mocks him, commenting on how his unique exorcism ability is actually kind of pathetic. She's unimpressed by his bare-fisted approach. He's slumped against a car, barely able to breathe. Around him, the host's puppets are still twitching, waiting for the order to kill. She looks down at him with glowing red eyes, wondering if he's even human. To her, he's just a toy that's finally broken under the pressure. Hyeon-woo can only stare back, his purple eyes filled with a mix of defiance and exhaustion. He knows he's out of options. His mind flashes back to a cold night years ago. He was just a kid himself, shivering in an alley while holding a baby Jae-hyun wrapped in a thin blanket. Back in the present, he grits his teeth so hard they might crack. The host's words about his mother abandoning him have clearly struck a nerve. He throws himself forward one last time, a reckless, suicidal charge through the air. He's acting on pure instinct now, fueled by nothing but spite. The host doesn't even move to defend herself. She just smiles, her face twisting into a mask of pure malice. A massive spike of shadow erupts through Hyeon-woo's chest, lifting him clean off the ground. The impact is sickeningly loud in the quiet night. She calls him a brat, laughing at how easy it was to bait him into such a stupid mistake. He fell for the simplest psychological trick in the book. Hyeon-woo's eyes go dull as he coughs up a spray of blood. The shadow is still buried deep in his torso, pinning him in place like a butterfly. Suddenly, a massive pillar of blue spiritual energy erupts from the spot, lighting up the entire hospital grounds. It's a sudden, violent surge of power that shakes the air. A beam of light pierces through the darkness, aimed right at the host. Someone else has entered the fray, and they're not here to talk. Han Gi-ram arrives on the scene, and she's already in a frenzy, screaming at Sa Hyeon-woo for being such an absolute idiot. She wants to know what he thinks he's doing, charging into a death trap like this without waiting for backup. Hyeon-woo can barely keep his eyes open, blood dripping from the corner of his mouth as he slumps against the ground. He's trying to tell them to run while they still can, but his voice is nothing more than a ragged, painful whisper. Gi-ram isn't hearing any of it. She snaps back that he's the one who's half dead, standing her ground alongside Yang Yane as they prepare to take over the fight he clearly can't finish. Yang Yane wastes no time, swinging her blades in a wide, shimmering arc that slices through the shadow spirits like they're made of paper. She's a blur of motion, clearing the area in seconds. The possessed host is losing her mind at the intrusion, screaming at the two girls to stop getting in her way. She's completely focused on finishing what she started with Hyeon-woo. Gi-ram draws back a bow made of pure blue light, her expression turning cold and focused. This isn't just a rescue mission for her. She's here to end the threat once and for all. A massive shockwave of blue energy ripples outward as her arrows connect, vaporizing the smaller shadow grunts instantly. The sheer power behind her shots is enough to shake the ground. Yane lands gracefully in a crouch, her traditional robes fluttering as she readies her blades for the next wave. She's perfectly in sync with Gi-ram's ranged support, forming a wall between the monsters and their injured friend. But the host isn't done yet, and another shadow monster lunges from the darkness with its maw wide. It's moving with a terrifying speed that catches even the experienced shaman off guard. Gi-ram takes a direct hit to the shoulder, a spray of blood painting the air as she's knocked back. The force of the impact sends her skidding across the pavement. Seeing his friend go down, Hyeon-woo lets out a desperate scream, his purple eyes wide with horror. He's already in bad shape, but seeing Gi-ram hurt is almost more than he can handle. Yane rushes to her side, asking if she's okay, but Gi-ram just grits her teeth against the pain. She insists she's fine and tells Yane they need to keep pushing forward, no matter what. The host's shadows have transformed into a massive, multi-headed hydra of pure darkness. It's an endless stream of malice pouring out of her back, and it's growing larger by the second. Gi-ram looks up, sweating and panting as she realizes the scale of the threat. She admits she's never seen spirits with such vicious energy before, and at this rate, they're all going to be wiped out. Her eyes narrow as she realizes they need a complete change of tactics. She's done playing defense and starts looking for an opening for their final gamble. Her gaze drifts to the jagged, red scar on the back of Hyeon-woo's neck. It's a mark that holds the key to his true potential, and it's starting to flare with an ominous light. Gi-ram stands back up and asks Yane if she can clear a path straight to Hyeon-woo. Yane doesn't hesitate, promising to give her partner the opening she needs to reach him. They stand back to back, surrounded on all sides by the host's shadowy minions. It's a desperate stand, and everything is riding on this next move. The host just laughs at them, calling them damn brats and mocking their resolve. She thinks she's already won, and their little plan is just the final struggle of a dying animal. Gi-ram ignores the taunt, shouting for Yane to leave the path to her. She's sprinting forward, her boots kicking up dust as she pours every ounce of her spiritual energy into her legs. She's shrouded in a swirling aura of blue fire as she activates her falling flowers, flowing water technique. Every step she takes is heavy with the weight of her shared past with the boy on the ground. She's gritting her teeth so hard it hurts, pushing her body past its absolute limits. She's focusing everything on that one specific target, ignoring the pain and the exhaustion. Suddenly, her mind flashes back to a much quieter time at school. Her classmates were teasing her, asking if she actually liked Hyeon-woo since she was always stuck to him like glue. In the memory, she just scoffed at the idea with a blush, claiming there was no way she felt that way. But the truth was that their bond was forged in a much darker place than any school hallway. Back in the present, the host mocks her for being another idiot who doesn't value their own life. She's preparing a massive shadow spike to skewer Gi-ram just like she did with the boy. Gi-ram dives headfirst into the swarm of tentacles, ignoring the jagged shadow spikes that tear at her clothes. She's not stopping for anything until she reaches him. The scene shifts back to a snowy, freezing night years ago. A young, blonde Hyeon-woo is huddled on the frozen ground outside a baby box facility, protectively holding his tiny sister Jae-hyun in his arms. The little boy looks up, his face covered in bruises and his eyes filled with a hollow kind of sorrow. He sees a young girl standing over him and asks if she was abandoned too. It's a young Giram, her blue hair messy and tears streaming down her face as she clutches a kitchen knife. She tells him not to lump her in with him, claiming she's the one who chose to leave her dad. Her knuckles are white as she grips the handle, her small frame shaking in the cold. She explains that her father has been possessed by an evil spirit, and she's decided to end it with her own hands. Sa Hyeon-woo can't believe what he's hearing from someone his own age. He stares at her in shock, asking if she's really going to kill her only family just because of some monster. Giram breaks down completely, her shoulders shaking as she sobs into the night air. She's just a child forced into an impossible situation, and the weight of the knife is too much for her to bear. She lunges at him, screaming that she doesn't have any other choice. The priests all ran away saying there was nothing they could do, so she's been left to handle the nightmare all on her own. Sa Hyeon-woo shouts back at her, calling her an absolute idiot for throwing away her family over a spirit. He's not going to let her make a mistake that will haunt her for the rest of her life. Enraged by his scolding, she slaps him right across the face, and the two children tumble into the freezing slush, wrestling over the kitchen knife. It's a desperate, messy struggle between two children who have been discarded by the world. Giram is still screaming through her tears, demanding to know how a brat like him could possibly understand her pain. She's terrified and alone, and she's lashing out at the only person who hasn't run away. They both collapse in the narrow, dark alleyway, completely exhausted. The glowing baby box sign above them is a cold, silent reminder of why they both ended up here. Giram finally gives up the fight, sobbing into Sa Hyeon-woo's chest as the adrenaline fades. He just holds her there in the snow, letting her cry out all the fear she's been carrying. He looks down at her with those sharp, purple eyes, already showing a maturity that most adults would never possess. He's not letting go until she's safe, no matter how cold it gets. Giram looks up at him, her face a mess of tears and snot as she asks what someone like him could possibly do to help. She's completely lost all hope. Sa Hyeon-woo grabs her by the shoulders, his expression turning intensely serious. He's not just making a promise to a stranger, he's making a pact that will bind them together for years to come. He tells her straight to her face that he can kill evil spirits. He's giving her a way out, a reason to put down the knife and believe that her family can actually be saved. Young Sa Hyeon-woo isn't backing down for a second. He shouts at young Giram, telling her that whether she believes him or not is up to her, but if she wants, he's going to help her save her father. He's standing in the middle of a snowy night, clutching his baby sister Sa Hyeon tightly to his chest. He promises to kill every last evil spirit it takes to fix this, declaring that since they've both been abandoned, they should be family from now on. Little Giram is frozen in place, her eyes wide and brimming with tears as the weight of his offer sinks in. No one has ever offered her a home before, let alone a way to fight the darkness that took her father. Years later, Giram's sneaker slams into the pavement as she charges forward with a renewed determination. She tells herself that this entire fight is just her way of finally paying off the debt she's carried since that snowy night. She leaps into the fray, weaving through the jagged shadow tentacles that are erupting from the possessed host. It's a dangerous run, but she isn't stopping for anything. Sa Hyeon-woo looks up in shock from the ground, his face battered and bloody. He tries to call out her name, completely confused by why she's suddenly acting so recklessly in the middle of a losing battle. Another memory flickers through her mind, girls in the school library teasing her. They really thought she and Sa Hyeon-woo were a couple because of how much time they spent together, but the truth was far more complicated. She didn't care about the rumors back then, and she doesn't care now as she grabs Sa Hyeon-woo by the collar of his jacket. She's focused on a single, desperate goal that only she can achieve. There's no way she'd ever let him go or let him die here. She pulls him close and sinks her teeth into the red scar on the back of his neck, right where his spiritual power is being suppressed. Sa Hyeon-woo's head snaps back, a guttural scream of pain and shock ripping from his throat. The sudden, raw surge of energy is almost more than his battered body can handle. As she bites down, a violent burst of red and black energy erupts behind them in the shape of a massive, shattered heart. It's a primal connection that forces his dormant power to the surface with a vengeance. Yang Yane watches from a few yards away, her hands clamped over her mouth in pure disbelief. She's never seen a spiritual awakening quite this violent, or a method quite this intimate. A massive pillar of blue and white spiritual energy explodes from Sa Hyeon-woo's body, lighting up the entire hospital grounds like a second sun. The sheer force of the release sends a shockwave through the air that rattles the nearby windows. The possessed host is blown back by the blast, her shadow tentacles fraying and dissolving under the pressure of the pure spiritual light. She can't understand what's happening to the boy she thought she'd already broken. Yane winces against the blinding glare, realizing that Giram's desperate gamble actually worked. By biting the scar, she's forcibly unsealed Sa Hyeon-woo's true spiritual power. Another quick flashback shows a dark, ominous door slightly ajar, with shadow spirits creeping out of the cracks like smoke. This was the source of the nightmare they both faced as children. Young Sa Hyeon-woo is seen grappling with a grotesque red fish spirit, his small body glowing with a faint blue light. Young Giram watches from the background, still holding baby Jae-hyun as the boy fights a war she can't see. He's throwing everything he has into a punch, his young face determined and fierce even through the bruises. Even as a child, he was already stepping into the role of a protector against the things that go bump in the night. Back in the present, Giram pulls away, tears streaming down her face as she watches the transformation take hold. She's done her part, and now the rest is up to the boy who once saved her. Sa Hyeon-woo's head is bowed, his hair rapidly turning from its usual color to a stark, shimmering white. The air around him crackles with enough raw energy to make the ground beneath his feet start to crumble. When he finally looks up, his eyes have turned a piercing, predatory red. The beaten boy is gone, replaced by something much more dangerous, and he's looking straight through the monsters in front of him. Giram collapses onto her knees, shouting for him to finish the fight quickly while he still has the strength. She's exhausted and wounded, but she knows he can hear her now. Transformed, Sa Hyeon-woo crouches on the ground, his white hair fluttering in the spiritual wind he's created. He tells her not to worry, his voice now carrying a heavy, echoing resonance that shakes the very air. He shifts his weight, his sneaker digging into the asphalt as he prepares to launch himself forward. The ground beneath him spiderwebs with cracks from the pressure he's building up. He's a blur of motion as he charges, a trail of blue light following in his wake like a comet. He shouts that the same hell the host created is coming for her now, and he's the one delivering it. The host's eyes widen in terror as she stares at his face. She can't believe her eyes. All of his wounds have completely healed in a matter of seconds, leaving not even a scar behind. She screams that no matter what tricks he pulls, it's useless because this place is already hell. She's lashing out with everything she has left, desperate to regain some kind of control over the situation. Sa Hyeon-woo's face is a mask of cold fury as he closes the distance in a heartbeat. He's disgusted that she's still trying to use people as bait even when the end is staring her in the face. He lands a devastating blow on one of the shadowy entities, his fist wreathed in shimmering spiritual energy. The impact sends a shockwave through the host's defenses, shattering her shadows like glass. The shadow spirits are blasted apart, their forms dissolving into nothingness as his pure energy incinerates them on contact. There's nowhere for the darkness to hide anymore. The host is left completely defenseless, her jaw dropping in shock as she realizes her entire shadow army has been decimated in the blink of an eye. Sa Hyeon-woo leaps high into the air, a whip of glowing blue energy forming in his hand. He tells her that this world isn't hell. She's just been looking at it through a broken lens. He shouts that the only real hell is the one inside her heart, the one that's ruined her own life and the lives of those around her. He's coming down with a final, decisive strike. The host looks up, her face twisted in a mixture of pain and denial as he tells her that for someone with a shattered heart like hers, the truth is going to be unbearable. His punch sends her slamming into the asphalt. The force of the impact craters the ground directly beneath her. She gasps, a spray of dark fluid erupting from her mouth, as the spiritual anchor holding the entity in place is finally shattered by his raw power. Sa Hyeon-woo lands in a low crouch nearby, watching closely as the host lies motionless on the ground. The fight is over, but the extraction of the spirit is just beginning. A massive black shadow entity starts to pull itself out of the host's body, letting out a piercing, unearthly shriek that rings through the night and chills the blood. The shadow is sucked into a swirling black vortex on the host's chest, its form twisting and distorting as it's forcibly removed from the human vessel it was parasitizing. The host's face is pale and bloated, her eyes rolling back as she retches and gasps for air. Whatever was inside her is being purged with a violent finality that leaves her gasping. She vomits up a thick black mass of sludge onto the pavement with a wet slap. Sa Hyeon-woo, Yane, and Giram gather around the woman, staring at the physical manifestation of the curse. At the center of the foul-smelling sludge is a grotesque, charred chicken head covered in paper talismans. This was the catalyst used to plant the evil spirit and control the woman from the shadows. Sa Hyeon-woo stands with Yang Yane 002 and Han Giram behind him, their silhouettes stark against the night sky as they look down at the defeated catalyst. The air is still thick with the lingering scent of ozone and burnt spiritual energy. Hyeon-woo stands over the small, dark, chicken-headed spirit as it mocks him from the ground. The entity laughs, admitting its shock at his hidden power but warning that he's definitely not a normal human and will pay for interfering. A close-up of the grotesque bird-like entity shows its red eyes glowing with a final, spiteful curse. It promises to kill everyone around Hyeon-woo, specifically threatening to send Giram straight to hell as its parting shot. Hyeon-woo's foot slams down onto the cursed object with a sickening crunch, crushing the spirit's physical anchor into the asphalt. A final burst of dark purple energy dissipates from under his heel as the laugh is cut short. Looking down with a cold, determined expression, Hyeon-woo tells the entity to say whatever it has to say to his face instead of hiding behind a creepy mask. He's finished with the games and the indirect threats. The tension suddenly snaps as Hyeon-woo erupts into a furious, blushing shout, his hair practically standing on end. He points a finger and screams that Giram is absolutely not his girlfriend, while she and Yane 002 watch him with deadpan expressions. The previously possessed woman, Yoo-jin, lies on the ground and gasps for air, a series of ragged coughs shaking her frame. The dark influence has been purged, leaving her physically and mentally drained. Yoo-jin looks around in a daze, clutching her chest as she struggles to piece together her memories. Hyeon-woo stands nearby while Yane 002 and Giram observe, the girl asking where she is and why she's outside the hospital. Yane 002 looks down at the woman with a stern, judgmental gaze, calling her an idiot for letting her will be stolen. She explains that the spirit likely intended to destroy her family and seize their assets by exploiting her weakness. Yoo-jin's father and brother rush onto the scene, their footsteps echoing as they head toward the cluster of teenagers. They are both in tears, relief and guilt warring on their faces as they see she's alive. The family collapses into a desperate, tearful embrace on the cold ground. Both men sob openly, admitting that their own greed blinded them and nearly cost them Yoo-jin's life. A close-up of Yoo-jin's brother shows him racked with sobs, his eyes squeezed shut in agony. He begs for his sister's forgiveness, lamenting that he should have been the one to take better care of her. Yoo-jin gazes back at her brother and father through her tears, her expression one of weary guilt. Her father weakly tells them they didn't do anything wrong, trying to ease the immense burden of guilt she is carrying. The father's face is a mask of grief as he cries out, blaming himself for letting his daughter's heart go astray. He pulls his children closer, his voice cracking as he offers his apologies to the night air. The three of them remain locked in a tight, sobbing circle, their apologies overlapping in a chaotic chorus of regret. They are finally reunited, but the scars of the possession are plain to see on all of them. Yane 002 breaks the heavy emotional mood, her expression turning professional and inquisitive. She stands with Hyeon-woo and Giram, asking a single, pointed question about the location of a specific place. She demands to know the exact location where the deal for the evil spirits was made with them. The question hangs in the air, a reminder that while this battle is over, the source of the curse remains. A metal bat connects with a baseball with a loud clack. The ball soars high into the clear blue sky, heading straight out of the park. Kim Yoo-hyun rounds the bases with a huge grin, his orange jacket fluttering as he runs. His teammates cheer from the sidelines as he nails another home run. The other kids are losing it, shouting about how he's too good to be true. Yoo-hyun just beams, wiping sweat from his forehead after his incredible play. His friends crowd around, begging him to officially join their baseball team so they can play together all the time. Yoo-hyun's smile falters and he looks down at his cap, admitting his mom would never allow it. Suddenly, his phone starts buzzing in his pocket. His expression shifts to one of pure dread as he pulls it out and looks at the caller ID. He quickly waves them off, saying he has to go right now. His friends are disappointed, but he's already sprinting away with his bag over his shoulder. He calls out one last apology as he disappears into the distance. The fun is over the second that phone starts ringing. The sky turns a deep orange as the sun dips behind a massive, glass-covered apartment building. It's a cold, imposing complex that seems to swallow the remaining light. Yoo-hyun stands outside his front door, head bowed and shoulders slumped. The click of the lock sounds much louder than it should in the quiet hallway. He steps inside, sweating and stammering through an excuse about just seeing some friends for a bit. His eyes are wide with fear as he looks up into the dark. His mother stands there in the shadows, gripping a baseball bat like she's ready to swing. She's fuming, demanding to know how many times she has to tell him to stop playing. Yoo Hyun backs away, holding his hands up as he begs for mercy. He's crying now, promising over and over that he'll never touch a baseball again if she just stops. His mother screams in frustration, tears streaming down her face as she asks why he won't just listen to her. She looks completely unhinged in the dim light of the hallway. The bat cuts through the air with a terrifying whoosh. It's a full-power swing intended to destroy whatever it hits. A ceramic planter shatters against the floor, dirt and leaves spilling everywhere. The sound of breaking pottery echoes through the tense silence of the apartment. Yoo Hyun's baseball glove and ball sit abandoned on the floor nearby. The gear he loves so much is now just a reminder of the trouble he's in. He retreats to his room, huddling in a dark corner with his head in his knees. In the mirror across from him, a tall, dark silhouette begins to take shape. As Yoo Hyun mumbles apologies to himself, a shadowy, clawed hand reaches out of the darkness. It gently brushes against his hair, sensing the opening in his heart. Thick black tentacles wrap around his neck and shoulders, pulling him deeper into the gloom. Yoo Hyun is paralyzed with fear, still whispering that he's sorry as the spirit takes hold. A close-up of his eye shows the horrifying truth. A twisted, grinning spirit is reflected in his pupil, officially marking him as its next host. Word travels fast at school. Everyone's buzzing about the news from last night. Somebody possessed by an evil spirit went on a total rampage at a nearby hospital. In the hallways, it's the only thing anyone is talking about. With spirits appearing more often lately, some students are seriously considering carrying around talismans for protection. One girl pulls up a viral photo on her phone to show her friends. It's a shot of a handsome priest caught on camera during the hospital chaos, and the internet is already obsessed. Back in the classroom, the girls are losing it over the guy in the picture. He's exactly their type, and they're half convinced he's some kind of mysterious holy protector. Meanwhile, Sa Hyeon-woo is just sitting at his desk, gnawing on a chocolate popsicle. He was actually the one who performed the exorcism, but he's just annoyed that the actual priests are getting all the credit for the work he put his blood, sweat, and tears into. Gi-ram leans back in her chair, scrolling through her own phone. She tells him to get over it. They got a fat paycheck for the job, so as far as she's concerned, they're set. Besides, thanks to Father Kang stepping in to handle the police, the whole thing stayed off the radar. Gi-ram thinks the arrangement is actually perfect for them. Hyeon-woo isn't convinced, though. He's bitter about the priest stealing his thunder, while Gi-ram argues that someone who only cares about money wouldn't understand the benefit of staying hidden. He just gives her a skeptical look, clearly thinking she's the one who doesn't get it. Over at another desk, the girls are still debating whether or not they should try to find the priest's social media and send him a direct message. Hyeon-woo points out that he's literally right there in the background of the same photo. He's salty because despite being the one doing the work, nobody is talking about him at all. Gi-ram just stares at him with a deadpan expression, already exhausted by his complaining. She tells him to stop talking nonsense and just be happy they have enough cash for Jae-hyun's medicine before she gets up and starts walking away. But as they try to leave, a classmate stops them with a very suspicious look. She asks Gi-ram point-blank if the two of them actually kissed. Caught off guard by the question, the whole room flashes back to a moment when someone saw them during a ritual. From that angle, it definitely looked like they were getting way too close for just being partners. Gi-ram immediately flips out. She starts waving her hands and shouting, demanding to know who started such a stupid rumor about her and Hyeon-woo. She looks over at him for help, but Hyeon-woo is just sitting there with a massive blush on his face. He stammers that it wasn't exactly a kiss, which only makes things look more suspicious to everyone watching. Seeing him turn red is the final straw for her. Gi-ram snaps, grabbing him by the collar and yelling at him to just spit it out properly instead of acting like a guilty kid. By now, the rest of the class has swarmed them. They've all heard the rumors, and seeing them fight like this only makes them more convinced that they're actually a couple. One of the guys looks genuinely devastated, claiming he liked Hyeon-woo first. Hyeon-woo just lets out a frustrated scream at the total chaos of his school life. Another girl joins in, saying she always assumed they were dating because they're stuck together all the time anyway. They didn't have to keep it a secret. Gi-ram is left speechless, her face still bright red as she tries to figure out how to shut down the gossip. Later on, she's outside the school, leaning against her pink motorcycle and still dwelling on the whole mess, recalling what her friends had just said, claiming that the two of them actually look great together. Giram can only sigh, insisting for the nth time that they aren't dating. Suddenly, a loud crash echoes from a nearby building, and shards of glass come raining down onto the street. A pink, snake-like spirit bursts out of the shattered window, screeching as it tries to make a break for it. Sa Hyeon-woo leans out the window and shouts for Giram to catch it. She yells right back, calling him sloppy for letting the thing escape in the first place. The spirit doesn't stick around for the argument. It zips through the air, desperate to get as far away from these two as possible. It's absolutely baffled by what just happened. Usually, exorcists put the host's safety first, but this guy? He didn't hesitate for a second. It flashes back to the moment Sa Hyeon-woo just straight up punched the possessed guy in the face. One hit was enough to make the spirit cough itself right out of the body. It's never seen an exorcism that violent before. It keeps flying, hoping it's finally managed to put some distance between itself and the threat. But Giram is already waiting down on the street. She raises her hand, and blue, electric energy starts swirling around her arm as she prepares to strike. She's already annoyed enough from the rumors at school, and she's more than ready to take it out on this spirit. It's always her who ends up suffering because of Sa Hyeon-woo's mess. She launches a massive swirl of blue energy upward, tearing through the air toward the fleeing target. The spirit manages to swerve at the last second, narrowly avoiding the blast. It looks back and laughs, mocking her for thinking she could catch it with skills like that. With one final taunt, it rockets high into the sky, disappearing into the clouds. It tells her she's 100 years too early to be catching a spirit like him. Back on the ground, the energy fades from Giram's hand. Sa Hyeon-woo runs up to see if she got it, but she's just ching, annoyed that she got too worked up and missed. High above the city, the spirit finally slows down. It's panting, barely clinging to its form after that close call with the energy blast. It's been through way too much trouble to get this far. It realizes it needs to find a new human body, and it needs to find one fast before those two catch up. That's when it spots something interesting on the pavement below. It's finally found its next target. Its eyes land on a young boy walking home. This is Kim Yoo-hyun, and he looks like the perfect new host for the spirit's recovery. Yoo-hyun is just finishing up with his friends. They want him to stay and play baseball, but he apologizes, saying his mom told him he has to come home early again today. Yoo-hyun's friends wave him off, telling him he has to play with them next time. He just nods and heads home alone. The other boys talk about how much it sucks that he can't stay. One of them mentions that Yoo-hyun's mom absolutely hates him playing baseball, even though he's a natural. It makes sense, given who his dad is. Apparently, the kid's father was the legendary slugger Kim Woo-hyuk, which is a lot of pressure for anyone to live under. As Yoo-hyun walks alone, he keeps his eyes glued to his phone. He doesn't notice the pink spirit trailing behind him like a sinister shadow. His screen is filled with frantic texts from his mother. She's demanding to know where he is and telling him to get home immediately, the messages coming in one after another. The spirit drifts closer, whispering right into his ear. It asks him if he ever wishes his mother would just disappear. The small spirit suddenly manifests into a grotesque, multi-eyed monster. It grins, telling the boy that if that's what he really wants, it can help him. Yoo-hyun spins around, eyes wide as he looks into the empty air. He stammers out a question, but there's no one visible there. He trips over his own feet and falls backward, his phone clattering to the ground. The spirit doesn't give him a chance to recover. It looms over him, promising that he doesn't have to be afraid anymore. It says it will erase every bit of fear he's been carrying. The spirit lunges, its amorphous body beginning to wrap around the boy's head. It notes the pain it sees in his eyes as it starts to force its way in. Its face is inches from his, wearing a chilling smile. It tells the little one that it will save him from everything he fears. Possession begins, and Yoo-hyun's eye clouds over with a dark, swirling energy. He manages to let out a weak plea for help. His pupil turns into a bottomless black void. He can barely get the word "save" out before the darkness takes over. Deep inside the boy's subconscious, something heavy rattles. A massive iron chain stretches across a void of red smoke. The pink spirit finds itself face to face with a terrifying, red-eyed entity bound in chains. It realizes too late that the boy wasn't empty at all. The intruder panics, screaming in shock. There was already an incredibly powerful evil spirit hiding inside this kid. Back in reality, the strain is tearing Yoo-hyun apart. He coughs violently, black liquid and blood leaking from his eyes. The dark entity inside him roars, its voice echoing with a possessive fury. It claims the body as its own and its own alone. The sound of screeching tires cuts through the alley as a motorcycle slams to a halt. Giram spots the trouble and points it out to Sa Hyeon-woo. The pink spirit is panicking, realizing it's caught between a monster and an exorcist. Sa Hyeon-woo doesn't waste any time. He charges in and delivers a holy punch, slamming his fist directly into the spirit's face. The spirit shrivels up, screaming that it doesn't want to die like this. It's a pathetic end for a minor spirit that bit off more than it could chew. A blinding flash of light erupts as the exorcism connects, completely obliterating the pink entity. Yoo Hyun is left on the ground, his eyes glowing a deep, malevolent red. Dark veins crawl across his face. For a moment, the boy looks like he's about to turn into something much worse, as the red light consumes him. Then the glow fades, leaving him looking small and confused. In the shadows behind him, the faint image of Chains still lingers for a split second. Sa Hyeon-woo leans down to check on him, asking if he's hurt. Yoo Hyun looks up breathless and thanks him for the save. Giram walks over, her bike parked nearby. She asks Sa Hyeon-woo if he's sure he finished the job properly this time. Sa Hyeon-woo insists he saw the spirit explode with his own eyes. But Giram isn't so sure. She can still feel a lingering, nasty energy coming from the boy. Yoo Hyun gets to his feet, staring at them in awe. He notes that they don't look like any priests or nuns he's ever seen. He holds up a finger, looking genuinely curious about how they managed to do what they just did. The group moves to the healing office, which looks like a humble stationery shop from the outside. They all sit on a bench to talk things over. Yoo Hyun is still skeptical. He asks if it's true they'll actually exorcise evil spirits for anyone who pays them, even if they aren't official clergy. Sa Hyeon-woo gives him a confident grin and hands over a business card. He tells the kid they're available anytime, though he hopes it never comes to that. He leans in, telling the boy that keeping promises to their clients is the iron rule of the healing office. Yoo Hyun looks at the card, a small smile finally appearing on his face. He seems relieved to have some kind of backup. Suddenly, a vibration buzzes in his pocket. He looks down at his phone, his expression shifting instantly. He tells them something urgent came up and he has to go. He waves goodbye as he runs off down the street. Giram watches him go, casually licking a popsicle. She tells Sa Hyeon-woo that he just made a huge mistake. She admits she can't be 100% sure because the energy is so hazy, but something is definitely wrong. She watches the boy fade into the distance. As Yoo Hyun runs home, the shadow of a massive, chained demon looms over him. Giram is convinced there's a spirit inside him, and she's baffled by how he can even function. Giram casually licks her popsicle, nodding that if the boy actually takes their advice and comes to request an exorcism, they'll have quite a situation on their hands. Sa Hyeon-woo sits beside her, a look of mild concern on his face. He knows the boss won't be the type to let them off the hook for taking unauthorized cases. High above the city, the setting sun casts a golden glow over the corporate skyscrapers of the business district. In a quiet apartment, a framed family photo shows a young Yoo Hyun with his parents, all wearing baseball jerseys. A shelf in front of it is packed with trophies and awards from his father's legendary career. A hand pulls Yoo Hyun's eyelid open, revealing his teal iris for a clinical inspection. Yoo Hyun sits small on a massive gray sofa while his mother, a woman with long, straight black hair and a sharp gray suit, kneels before him. She checks his condition, asking if anything unusual happened at school today. She hands him a small, dark bottle, her tone leaving no room for argument. She tells him he must take his medicine every single day if he expects to get better. Yoo Hyun looks down at his lap, his voice barely a whisper. He asks if he's really never going to be allowed to play baseball again. His mother ignores the question, turning away to pull on her suit jacket. Yoo Hyun tries to push back, mentioning that his friends invited him to play tomorrow and he hasn't had a seizure in a long time. She stops and looks back over her shoulder, her expression cold and unwavering. She tells him baseball is strictly off-limits until he is fully healed. Once she leaves, Yoo Hyun stares at the business card for the healing office clutched in his hand. He grips it tight, his mind clearly made up. He holds his blue piggy bank close, the sound of coins and bills rattling inside as he prepares to leave. Later that evening, Yoo Hyun stands outside a nondescript building, clutching his piggy bank for comfort. He looks up at the facility, heart racing. The building looks more like an old church than a business, with a small sign above the door that reads, Healing Office. Inside, the hallway is dimly lit by the afternoon sun, and a single door at the end of the corridor stands slightly ajar. Yoo Hyun walks into the office to find Sa Hyeon-woo and Gi-ram already there. Sitting at the main desk is Han Isaac, a rugged man with a beard and yellow-tinted sunglasses, who gruffly asks what a brat is doing there. Unfazed, Yoo Hyun steps forward and holds out his piggy bank. He tells the man he heard they'll exorcise any spirit for the right price, no questions asked. Han Isaac scoffs, leaning back in his chair with a mocking laugh. He tells the boy that he's got the wrong idea and this isn't a place that takes pocket money. Han Isaac stands up, revealing a tactical baby carrier strapped to his chest holding 2 crying infants. He tells Yoo Hyun to get out of his office, claiming he can't stand kids. In response, Yoo Hyun appends his piggy bank onto the desk. A mountain of cash, mostly 50,000 won bills, spills out in a massive, messy pile. Han Isaac freezes, his sunglasses slipping down his nose as he stares at the small fortune on his desk. Yoo Hyun asks him directly if this will be enough to get the job done. Gi-ram watches from the side, her eyes wide with genuine surprise at the amount of money the kid just produced. Sa Hyeon-woo remains silent, his expression turning serious as he realizes just how desperate the boy really is. Yoo Hyun stands before them, his hand clutching his chest as he makes his shocking request. He looks them dead in the eye and tells them he wants them to kill his father. A child's voice rings out over the healing agency building, desperately begging for help. He claims his father's evil spirit is trapped inside his own body. Inside the office, Kim Yoo Hyun stands with a backpack full of cash. Sa Hyeon-woo and Han Isaac stare at the kid, stunned by his heavy request. Han Gi-ram explains that this kind of domestic possession isn't unheard of. Sometimes, a restless soul refuses to move on and ends up anchored to their own child. Gi-ram looks closely at the boy, her expression turning serious. She didn't expect the spirit to be his own father. She wonders how the kid is even still walking around. Usually, a host this young would have collapsed long ago under that kind of spiritual pressure. Suddenly, a loud bang ends the conversation as a hand slams down on the table. Isaac doesn't hesitate. He tells the boy he's in the wrong place and flat-out refuses to take the job. Yoo Hyun snaps, shouting that they promise to handle anything for the right price. He's desperate and isn't going to just walk away. Sa Hyeon-woo tries to step in, arguing that they can't just kick a kid with a ticking time bomb spirit out onto the street. He thinks they really should help the boy, but Isaac isn't listening to his pleas. Isaac loses his cool and shoves Sa Hyeon-woo back. He's furious that the rookie even brought this kind of high-stakes trouble into the office. He yells that child exorcisms are strictly Vatican business. Freelancers like them have no legal right to touch a case like this. Sa Hyeon-woo clutches his head as the boss tells him to get lost if he's going to keep arguing. Isaac turns his anger back to Yoo Hyun. He tells him to go to a real church with his mother and stop wasting their time. He pulls out his phone, offering to waive his usual referral fee just to get the kid out of his hair. Yoo Hyun stands there trembling. He knows if he waits any longer, it'll be too late, but a regular church isn't an option for him. He grips his backpack strapped tight, his patience finally snapping. He storms out, money spilling everywhere as he calls them all liars. If they won't help, he'll find another way. Sa Hyeon-woo shouts for him to wait, trying to chase after the boy. Isaac stops him in his tracks. He reminds Sa Hyeon-woo that an illegal exorcism would get them shut down instantly. He brings up the crushing debt and Sa Hyeon-woo's sister, Jae Hyun, who's still stuck in a hospital bed. One wrong move and everything they've worked for is gone. Isaac tells him to stay out of business he can't handle. Some problems in this world just don't have a simple fix. Sa Hyeon-woo stares at the floor, his face hidden in the shadows as the weight of the situation sinks in. He slams the door behind him, giving a cold, hollow response that he'll keep it in mind. Isaac and Gi-ram watch the door, the boss wondering if his warning actually got through. Gi-ram isn't buying it. She knows Sa Hyeon-woo well enough to know he's already planning to cause more trouble. Outside, the sky has turned a deep, bloody red. Sa Hyeon-woo stands alone under a swarm of crows. He looks around the park, sweat beading on his forehead as he tries to find where the kid ran off to. A baseball game is going on nearby. The crack of a bat echoes as a home run sails over the fence. He finally spots Yoo Hyun sitting by a fence, distracted by a small black cat. Sa Hyeon-woo walks up with a forced smile, reintroducing himself and hopping to start over. He looks down at the stray cat Yoo Hyun is petting. It's just a regular cat, but Yoo Hyun seems to have a special connection with it. Yoo Hyun mentions he used to see this cat all the time back when he played baseball. He felt sorry for it having nowhere to go. Now he sees himself in the stray. He brings it snacks because they're both just wandering around without a home. He explains that the way the cat is lost is exactly how he feels. Ha Hyun-woo listens, seeing the pain in the boy's eyes. Yoo Hyun recalls how his dad was a famous player. All he ever wanted was to follow in those footsteps, but his mother banned him from the sport. She's convinced that playing baseball only makes his father's spirit take over faster. It sounds crazy to him, but the reality is terrifying. The more he tries to be like his hero, the more his life is put in danger. He tells Ha Hyun-woo that his mom refused to even consider going to a church. This park was his last hope. He tried going on his own once, but they turned a little kid away because he didn't have a parent's signature. He spent 6 months drugged on sedatives, believing his mother was actually trying to help him. But as he looks at her, he realizes the truth is much darker. Yoo Hyun explains that the sedatives he's taking barely work anymore. Every night, his dad's spirit comes to strangle him, trying to force its way into his body. Tears stream down the boy's face as he asks how much longer he has to live in this hell. He's completely reached his breaking point. Ha Hyun-woo watches him in silence, wondering what kind of father would put their own child through this kind of agony. He stays quiet for a long moment, his eyes shadowed as the full weight of the kid's story finally sinks in. He thinks about how some parents just make their kids suffer, whether there are evil spirits involved or not. The boss's warning about staying out of business they can't handle echoes in his mind. But it's clear he can't just walk away from this. Ha Hyun-woo makes his decision. He looks Yoo Hyun in the eye and tells him he'll do it. He'll exorcise the spirit. He warns the kid that this isn't a charity case, and it has to stay a total secret. Yoo Hyun doesn't care about the money. He's just relieved someone finally believed him. But there's a catch. Ha Hyun-woo warns him to be prepared to see his father as a monster begging for its life. He admits he hasn't exactly figured out how he's going to keep this from the agency yet. Suddenly, the air is pierced by a loud, sharp caw. A massive swarm of crows clouds the sunset sky, circling overhead like an omen of something terrible about to happen. One of the crows lands right on Yoo Hyun's head, its eyes glowing red as a paper talisman flaps in its beak. The bird actually speaks, mockingly asking Yoo Hyun if he's really planning to kill his own father. Ha Hyun-woo is stunned. A talking crow. The weird energy coming from it feels exactly like the cursed objects from their previous case. Talismans burst into flames as a cold voice says that children who don't listen need strict discipline. A blonde woman steps through the smoke, her eyes glowing a deep, menacing red. She calls this the proper punishment for an unfilial child. She snaps her fingers, and a blast of spiritual force slams into the boy. Yoo Hyun screams as fire and dark energy erupt from his body, his eye glowing red as the spirit inside is forcibly pulled to the surface. He drops his piggy bank, the money and cat treats he brought spilling out onto the grass. The boy collapses, coughing up blood as Ha Hyun-woo catches him. He looks up in a panic, demanding to know what that bird just did. Yoo Hyun's face begins to distort as the evil spirit starts materializing, using the boy's own body as a physical gateway. Ha Hyun-woo grits his teeth, his eyes burning with rage as he demands to know what they did to him. Yoo Hyun's mother is there too, screaming at the blonde antagonist. She was promised that her son wouldn't be harmed in this ritual. The blonde woman sits calmly on a case, playing with a small flame. She tells the mother to stop shouting. It was just a little punishment for a kid trying to kill his dad. She mocks them, saying if they'd just told him they were saving his father, he would have played along nicely. She kicks over a briefcase full of sedatives, telling the mother to just keep him drugged for another month and he'll be fine. The woman demands double the usual fee as a penalty for the mother's failure to raise her son properly. The poor woman cowers, clutching a bottle of the medication. She begs for just a moment to see her son. The antagonist shrugs and lets her go. A white car peels away, speeding down the road as the sun finally dips below the horizon. Inside the car, the mother is in a daze, whispering to herself that her husband is finally coming back. She imagines she can hear his heartbeat again, her obsession blinding her to the nightmare she's forced on her own child. In a hidden lab, her husband's body is floating in a tank. The plan is simple: pull the soul out of the son and move it back into the original body. She cries as she drives, lost in a delusional dream of a perfect reunion. She dreams of the three of them back on the baseball field, everything exactly the way it used to be before the tragedy. Back at the park, the black stray cat hisses at the massive surge of dark energy pouring out of Yoo Hyun. The possession is complete. A hulking, chained monster erupts from the boy's form, and Ha Hyun-woo is forced to brace himself. The creature screams that the body is his alone. It's clear that whoever this spirit was, his father isn't in there anymore. Ha Hyun-woo realizes the truth. This is just a monster now, driven by nothing but a raw hunger for a physical host. He shouts at the beast, asking if it can even hear him. He turns back to the boy's mental space, asking if he still has a problem with killing his dad now. The chained monstrosity towers over him, a mountain of shadow and rage. It growls that this body belongs only to it. Sa Hyeon-woo stares into its glowing eyes, his expression hard. He's done talking, it's time to settle this. Kim Yoo-hyun's face is half submerged in the thick black shadows of the entity, a single tear cutting through the darkness. Beside him, a glowing red eye stares out with predatory intent, but Sa Hyeon-woo's voice cuts through the gloom, flatly rejecting the monster's claim. Sa Hyeon-woo stands his ground amidst a swirling storm of pink energy, bracing himself against the pressure. He shouts his defiance once more, his eyes locked onto the threat as he prepares to begin the battle. The chained monster lunges through the air, a mass of dark limbs and jagged teeth illuminated by a violent red glow. Sa Hyeon-woo doesn't flinch, telling the boy to remember everything that's happening right now. Sa Hyeon-woo's fist slams into the monster's jaw with enough force to send a shockwave through the air. As the entity's head snaps back, he reminds Yoo-hyun that this entire battle, and the truth behind it, must remain a secret between just the two of them. The crack of the bat echoes through the stadium as a ball soars into the night sky for a home run. The crowd goes wild, their cheers drowning out everything else as the scoreboard flashes the massive hit. Kim Woo-hyuk, the star of the show, flashes a confident grin as he rounds the bases. He looks like a man at the absolute top of his game, enjoying his status as the freest man in the world. In the stands, a young Kim Yoo-hyun and his mother cheer at the top of their lungs for their hero. The boy calls out to his father, his eyes shining with pure admiration for the legend on the field. Back in reality, Sa Hyeon-woo delivers a heavy spiritual blow to the massive, grotesque spirit. The monster roars in agony as chains wrap around its dark, muscular frame, pinning it down. Sa Hyeon-woo stands his ground, shouting for the boy to finally spit out the evil spirit. The creature collapses under the pressure, its physical form beginning to unravel and fade. Yoo-hyun doubles over, gagging as he heaves up a thick, black substance. The possession is finally being forcibly ejected from his body, leaving him gasping on the ground. In a dimly lit facility, the blonde antagonist looks over as a hooded figure, hunched over while holding a handheld gaming console, speaks up. He realizes the link he established on the soul has just been broken. The hooded figure stares at his handheld screen, confirming that the connection to Kim Woo-hyuk's soul has snapped. He seems more annoyed by the technical failure than anything else. The blonde antagonist holds up a glowing red talisman, unimpressed by the news. She mocks the gamer, asking if all those hours of playing have finally fried his brain. It turns out this blonde woman uses talismans to control the swarm of crows. She gazes at Yoo-hyun, who lies exhausted on the grass right next to the severed head of the pig spirit. The blonde woman stands with her arms crossed, comparing the setback to their previous run-in with the healing agency. Beside her, the unnamed cyborg antagonist listens in silence. She wonders out loud why this healing office lot keeps getting in their way. The hooded figure warns her that if they don't act fast, the target's spirit will be completely purified. The woman turns to walk away, her heels clicking on the floor as she decides to change targets. She orders the team to prepare to grab Yoo-hyun and his mother instead. A dark silhouette stops her, declaring that he's joining the hunt. The blonde woman looks back, surprised by the sudden initiative from her partner. The cyborg reveals his face, his eyes glowing a menacing red as he smirks. He has a personal score to settle with that brat from the healing agency, Sa Hyeon-woo. Back at the park, the pig-headed spirit grovels on the ground, its red eyes dimming. It weakly begs Yoo-hyun for help, claiming it still has things it needs to finish. Yoo-hyun looks at the severed head in shock, trembling as he hears the familiar voice. He wonders if the thing on the ground is truly his father, unable to look away. The spirit continues its desperate plea, its long tongue lolling out of its mouth. It begs for just a little more time, trying to keep its grip on the boy's heart. Sa Hyeon-woo steps in and slams his hand down on the monster's head, silencing it. He barks at Yoo-hyun to stop listening, reminding him that this is nothing but an evil spirit. Yoo-hyun reaches out, convinced that he's hearing his father's real voice. He's desperate to believe his dad is still there, even in this horrific form. Sa Hyeon-woo doesn't hold back, punching the spirit head into the dirt with a heavy thud. He tells the boy that even if it is his dad's soul, it's been twisted beyond recognition. Sa Hyeon-woo's eyes glow a sharp purple as he explains the harsh reality. He tells the kid that the thing in front of him is a hollow shell with no will of its own. Yoo Hyun looks up, paralyzed by the realization that the spirit is just trying to steal his body. The fear and confusion are written all over his face. A woman's scream cuts through the air, ordering them to stop. Ha Hyun-woo looks back, caught off guard by the sudden appearance of someone else in the park. A sleek white car screeches to a halt, its headlights illuminating the scene. Yoo Hyun recognizes the figure immediately, gasping out for his mother. Kim Yoo Hyun's mother storms toward them with a look of pure fury. She demands to know who Ha Hyun-woo is and what he's done to her son. Yoo Hyun tries to defend him, shouting that Ha Hyun-woo didn't do anything wrong. He insists that the exorcist was just trying to help him. The mother kneels by the spirit's head, her face pale with shock. She looks at the remains of the creature, her hands trembling as she realizes the exorcism is complete. Yoo Hyun smiles at her, thinking she'll be happy he's cured. He tells her he can finally play baseball as much as he wants again, expecting a warm embrace. Instead, she looks away, whispering about how she can just pay to have the spirit put back in. Yoo Hyun's smile vanishes as he stares at her in complete disbelief. Without a word, she swings her hand and slaps Yoo Hyun across the face. The sound of the impact rings out, sending the boy's head snapping to the side. She screams at him to listen, her face twisted with a mix of rage and desperation. She claims she told him to wait just a little bit longer before getting rid of the spirit. She covers her face, weeping that this was all for his sake. She doesn't understand why he can't see the sacrifice she's making for their family. Ha Hyun-woo grabs her arm, finally stepping in to put an end to the scene. He's had enough of her outburst and won't let her touch the boy again. He points out that Yoo Hyun is shaking from the trauma she's putting him through. The boy just cries quietly, apologizing to his mother for things he didn't do. A cold voice from the shadows calls the whole display a farce. A hooded figure stands on a distant rooftop, surrounded by a swarm of crows. A single black crow with a talisman on its neck takes flight. The voice mocks them, saying this drama only happened because they tried to defy the natural order. More crows descend from the sky, their bodies bursting into flames as they dive. The night is filled with their harsh caws and the heat of spiritual fire. Ha Hyun-woo and the mother look up as a massive swarm of flaming crows circles overhead. The sky turns a hellish orange as the birds prepare to strike the group. The crows dive like fiery streaks, coming down with lethal intent. They're moving with a speed and ferocity that doesn't leave much room for escape. Ha Hyun-woo dives to shield Yoo Hyun, taking the brunt of the explosions as the crows impact all around them. The ground is torn up by the constant spiritual blasts. Ha Hyun-woo grits his teeth and yells out in pain as the fiery birds continue their relentless assault. He struggles to stay conscious while keeping the boy safe beneath him. Ha Hyun-woo hunkers down, shielding the boy as the fire crows explode all around them. The ground is a mess of spiritual flames and smoke as the relentless attack continues. Sweat beads on his forehead as he grits his teeth, looking up at the sky. He wonders where all these damn crows are coming from and how many more are on the way. Behind him, the blonde antagonist drags the mother and son away toward a car. The mother is screaming about how she paid her fees and doesn't want the exorcism if it costs this much trouble. The woman in the lab coat stays perfectly calm, telling the mother that their payment is already handled. She makes it clear that their souls are the real prize they're after now. She places a finger on the mother's forehead, a blue geometric light rippling through the air. The mother's eyes go vacant as the energy marks her for the kidnapping. Ha Hyun-woo tries to sprint toward them, shouting at the woman to get away from the pair. He's desperate to close the distance before they can be taken. The villains shove the mother and son into a white van as the blonde antagonist prepares to drive off. She looks back with a cold, professional indifference to the chaos she's caused. A massive figure intercepts Ha Hyun-woo with a heavy kick that sends him skidding across the grass. The unnamed cyborg antagonist laughs, gloating that they've finally met again. He pins Ha Hyun-woo to the ground with a bionic hand, his red eyes glowing with sadistic glee. He looms over the protagonist, shouting that he's been waiting to have some fun with him. Ha Hyun-woo gasps as he's crushed into the dirt, struggling against the overwhelming strength of the metal arm. He tells the guy to move, claiming he doesn't even know who he is. The cyborg's grin only widens as he mocks Ha Hyun-woo's memory. He reminds him of the promise to send him to hell, threatening his sister and his girlfriend in the process. Ha Hyun-woo's eyes widen as the voice finally clicks in his head. He realizes this is the same bastard from before, and he's more dangerous than ever. The blonde antagonist barks from the van, telling her partner to wrap it up because they're on a schedule. The cyborg just waves her off, telling her to get lost and stop bothering him. The white van peels away, leaving Sa Hyeon-woo to watch his targets disappear into the night. He's furious, knowing these are the same people who started this whole mess. He realizes he has to catch that van no matter what, but he's still stuck under the cyborg's weight. He grits his teeth, focused on finding a way to shake the guy off. Sa Hyeon-woo realizes the cyborg's physical power is on a completely different level. Every muscle in his body is screaming as he tries to break free from the pinning hold. A rookie assistant priest suddenly drops from the sky, aiming a powerful flying kick at the antagonist's head. The surprise attack forces the cyborg to let go and defend himself. The cyborg blocks the strike with his bionic forearm, the force of the impact sending him skidding back across the field. The young priest checks on Sa Hyeon-woo, making sure the healing office staff member is still in one piece. Han Gi-ram pulls up on a pink motorcycle with Father Kang Yo-han riding on the back. The elder priest tells Sa Hyeon-woo to leave the muscle to them and go save the child. Gi-ram tosses a helmet toward Sa Hyeon-woo with a casual flick of her wrist. She mentions that the boss sent Father Kang just in case Sa Hyeon-woo decided to punch the kid again. Sa Hyeon-woo catches the helmet, standing there dazed as the chaos unfolds around him. Gi-ram snaps at him to wake up, asking if he's actually going to save the piggy bank kid. The cyborg antagonist stands his ground, his body radiating a toxic green aura. He tells the priests to stay out of it, declaring that Sa Hyeon-woo is his prey and no one else's. He lets out a manic laugh, his face contorted with spiritual energy. He roars that anyone who stands in his way is going to die, regardless of whether they're priests or not. The assistant priest prepares his own spiritual power as Father Kang watches from behind. The rookie warns that the cyborg has completely mastered the evil spirit and converted it into physical power. Gi-ram and Sa Hyeon-woo roar away on the bike, the engine screaming as they chase after the kidnapping van. Sa Hyeon-woo points ahead through the wind, spotting the white van's taillights in the distance. He shouts for Gi-ram to floor it before they lose them. As the bike pulls up beside the van, Sa Hyeon-woo shouts for Gi-ram to get as close as possible. He's ready to make a move, his eyes locked on the vehicle. Gi-ram is terrified, screaming at him to stop being a lunatic because what he's doing is suicide. She can't believe he's risking his life for a simple exorcism payout. Sa Hyeon-woo leaps off the moving bike and through the air toward the van. He shouts that he doesn't need to worry about pocket change anymore. He slams onto the roof of the van with a heavy bang, the metal groaning under the impact. He clings to the top as the vehicle swerves through the streets. Inside, the blonde antagonist is startled by the sudden noise and the shadow on her roof. She grits her teeth, wondering what kind of crazy person she's dealing with. Sa Hyeon-woo looks wild, his greed finally overriding his exhaustion. He shouts that now that he knows the truth, there's no way he's letting this paycheck go. Peering inside the car, the mother, Shin Ae-ryun, is unconscious, but her eyes are still filled with tears as she holds Yoo Hyun close. Sa Hyeon-woo recognizes her. She's not just a mother, but a top-tier A-list actress. Sa Hyeon-woo glances at a massive digital billboard featuring a high-fashion ad of the mother. He realizes she is one of the most famous women in the country, which means that if their office settles this case, a massive reward is a given. He lets out a determined shout, declaring they're going to smash these bastards to pieces. He's motivated by a reward big enough to cover a giant screen ad of his own.